How special is mankind? This question threads through science like no other. Can machines learn to think? Is there life on other planets? Does the universe look the same everywhere? And how unique is planet Earth? Today I have a new paper whose authors have tackled a question most of us have never even thought about. Why does Earth have continents? And it gives a response that I found very surprising, namely, we owe them to the Milky Way. Let's have a look. Every research area has its big open questions, and for geophysicists, one of them is how the first continents on Earth formed. This matters a lot, given that we know life on Earth probably began in water and then increased in complexity once it populated land. So if you want to estimate the chance of this happening on other planets, you first need to know how likely the pleasant mix of water and land on our planet is. A few years ago, astrophysicists found that Earth is somewhat of a rarity among the potentially habitable planets. They used a computer model to study how continents and water distribute on Earth-like planets and found that those simulated planets have an 80% probability of being mostly land. Another 19% of the planets in their simulation are almost entirely covered by water. Less than 1% had a share of Earth and water like our planet does. But these scientists just assumed that continents have a certain chance to form by a process that most geologists believe happened. It's that the surface of planet Earth didn't cool exactly the same everywhere. Hot parts from the inside pushed up against the just formed surface irregularly and melted it again. The less heavy chemical elements basically floated to the top and later became the continental plates. But now a group of geologists at Curtin University say that this isn't what happened. They say that instead Earth's continents owe their existence to the structure of our Milky Way galaxy. They analyzed a global dataset of isotopes and ancient crystals and found that sudden changes, which indicate fresh crust production, recur roughly each 190 million years. This happens to roughly match the estimated interval at which the solar system crosses the Milky Way spiral arms. You see, Earth doesn't just go around the Sun. The Sun also goes around the center of the Milky Way, but not on an even orbit. It has an additional oscillation in and out of the plane. The authors now say that when Earth passes through the spiral arms, other solar systems and heavy clouds of gas come nearer to our solar system, and that causes more fluctuations of the gravitational field. This, so the idea, disturbs our Oort cloud. That's a shell of icy bodies which surrounds our solar system. As a consequence, Earth gets showered with plenty of comets each time it passes through the spiral arms of the Milky Way. They say that these frequent impacts caused a significant local thinning of the crust of young Earth, which seeded the first continents. This idea reminds me of Lisa Randall's theory that dark matter killed the dinosaurs. According to Randall, Earth doesn't just pass through the spiral arms of the Milky Way, but also through a disk of dark matter that's somewhat offset from that disk, and that somehow made an asteroid wipe out the dinosaurs. It's my most favorite piece of evidence for how completely bonkers people in this research area have become. But back to the geologists. If you squint at their data, you can see that actually the correlation between the spiral arm oscillation and the isotope changes isn't particularly good, so I give this an 8 out of 10 on the bullshit meter. Why am I telling you about this anyway? Because I think this study is a neat illustration for how little we know about our place in the universe and also our connection to the cosmos as a whole. In the past years, we've seen an increasing number of studies that investigate how the conditions on Earth might have been shaped by supernovae going off in our vicinity or rogue planets coming close to our solar system. Estate agents would call this a vibrant neighborhood. I find this all very interesting, not just for the sake of knowledge itself, but because I'm convinced that humans have a future as a space-traveling species, and all this information about planetary formation, about survival odds on other planets, will one day become the foundation of decisions that are much more practical than academic. Though if these geologists are right, the real estate advice is simple. Buy land, but only if your star has good spiral arm access. I'm always looking for new product recommendations that you might find useful, and today I have one that's made my travel experience much more convenient. The electronic SIM card, or eSIM, from Saily. What's it good for? If you're traveling, you can avoid roaming fees just by switching to a local eSIM. That can save you a ton of money. Something else that I found it useful for is to keep on using an old phone which no longer has a SIM card. You can also use it to set a virtual location. How does it work? It's super easy. Download the app, select a country and a plan, and don't forget to enter my code Sabine before checkout because that'll get you 15% off. Download the eSIM and switch it on, and that's it. I swear you don't need a PhD to figure it out. Saily has 24/7 support, and if the eSIM doesn't work on your phone, a money-back guarantee. So if you have a trip coming up or an old phone lying around, I say go and have a look at saily.com. It's a really useful service. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.